T minus 3, 2, 1, ignition.
What you know about this life? Just relax, baby, get high. Yeah, you're on your way to the best night ever. No top, no top, no top.
What up, guys? It's Jacob. Welcome to your Week 7 recap. We're going to get you started here with T-Bay and Nick Finley. T-Bay pulling off a much-needed win if he has any hopes of making the playoffs this year. He has to basically win out from here on. Kirk Cousins having probably his best primetime game of his career with 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, 23 fantasy points. Herbert, not good against a surprisingly tough Kansas City defense this year. Rachaad White, 12 points. Devontae Adams have been disappointing. Mark Andrews, 20. Kicker and defense really carrying T-Bay here to this win, which is great, but it's not a great sign for your fantasy team when that's who you're getting carried by. Looking at Nick's side, Desmond Ridder, oof, I think he had some just injuries. Yeah, some injuries. Justin Fields being down, not great. Russell Wilson hasn't been stellar this year either, which has been, I guess he's been okay. He's QB 10. Never mind, I take that back. But still, not a great performance against Green Bay, which you would think they would score a little bit more against them. Jahmyr Gibbs, probably the silver lining of this week for Nick, having a breakout game, 100 over 100 total yards and a touchdown. Raheem Mostert, 5 points. I think I said this. Maybe Jonathan Taylor could have got on the one if he would have started him. Although Raheem Mostert is like RB2 on the year and like 8 overall, so I don't blame him for starting them that way. Tyreek Hill, 20 points. Looking here, I got our biggest plays from this matchup. So Nick Finley's biggest play is this 27-yard touchdown by Tyreek Hill. Lobs it up, double coverage, easy. So damn fast. And then for T-Bay, we have Mark Andrews here. Worth 7. That last touchdown for Nick was worth 9.2 fantasy points. This one is worth 7.6.
On the fake, looking for Andrews, has him. Mark Andrews turns upfield, looking for the end zone, diving for
hits the pylon. Solid touchdown. That was one of 2 touchdowns that game for him. So yeah, great job, T-Bay. Way to try to keep your hopes alive. Nick hoping for a bounce back next week. Moving on now, we have Michael and Connor. Fierce little rivalry you have here. Usually the 3rd and 4th place teams of our league. All I have to say about this is thank God I don't have Deshaun Watson on my team anymore. I probably would be really close to quitting this league this year if Deshaun Watson was still on my team. I am so happy he is not my problem anymore. I was kind of hoping after his first couple weeks that, okay, like maybe I made a mistake, and then this injury bullshit. Like, he had as many completions to the Colts as he did his own team. Like, I could not be any happier for that guy not on my team anymore. To a down game against Philly. I mean, I think they have been giving up decent amount of fantasy points to QBs this year, but just not in Tua's case. Saquon coming back from his injury, second game back, 16 points. Solid game. Isaiah Pacheco has been looking better and better each week. He had 17 total touches, which is, that's solid. Jalen Waddle has been a little disappointing this year. I think there's just like so many freak athletes on this team and like so much scoring going around that Waddle's just kind of the odd man out so far. I could see that easily turning around in the second half of the season though. Down the stretch, Michael Thomas, I believe, getting his first touchdown of this season, yes, and his first double-digit point game. Kyle Pitts coming back down to earth a little bit, but he's shown moments. Dante Foreman, the only reason Michael wasn't below 100 again this week with a 3-touchdown game. I had Herbert all year, and then this happens. Like, I don't understand why Dante Foreman is so lucky to be blessed with so many carries, but whatever. Looking at Connor's side, we have so many freak athletes. Hurts, 21 points. It's just almost a down week for him. Lamar Jackson is starting to look like it was that 2018 or 19 Lamar Jackson of 4 total touchdowns. Kamara is looking like a stud as well, looking like his 2020 self with fucking like double-digit targets and half his games back so far. Looking like an RB1 rest of the season. Kenneth Walker putting all the Charbonnet talk to shame earlier this year. And then we get into the bummer side of things. I don't know what Derek Carr's effect is on his wide receivers and getting into like getting speeding tickets or just like high-speed driving. I don't know if he drives them that crazy trying to get receptions from that guy. But Olave getting arrested again this week. I imagine he'll play still, though. Ayuk is suffering from Purdy coming back to Mr. Irrelevant again. Hawkinson, 14 points. It's doing great with Justin Jefferson out. Darrell Henderson becoming the Darrell Henderson of old. Such a weird running back market this year. I do not understand it. Highlights of that game. So we have, let's see, what do we have here? So we have a Saquon Barkley, and this is also Cam stop play. We can come back and watch it, I guess. But for Michael, this was worth 9.7 fantasy points here.
Frustration, I think.
Tyrod Taylor, play action again, steps up, dumps it down. Barkley, head of steam. Saquon stays on his feet, and he takes it in.
There you go.
Giants.
A nice little check down from Tyrod Taylor for 32 yards. And then on Connor's side, we have Lamar Jackson with a little
a fake.
RPO here.
First down, touchdown.
Not RPO, what the fuck am I saying? Whatever you call that fucking bullshit. So, nice there. Let's go back to our next matchup here. We have Bobby, who's having a nice 4-3 season. I really think with his draft capital and his keepers that he really had the opportunity to like boost himself to like untouchable this year. Unfortunately, like that second round of our draft just didn't produce a whole lot. Especially with, Ramondre is just not looking like himself from last year. He's on pace for as many touchdowns as last year, I guess, but like no 100-yard games yet. Like not on pace for 1,000 yards. I mean, he's not getting. I mean, I guess that's kind of the targets, but just not looking great for Ramondre. Not having the breakout year everyone was hoping for. But nevertheless, Bobby still pulls out the win, 156 to 103. Would have had the top score of the week if it wasn't for this -3 from his defense. Just Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things with Stephon Diggs. Derek Carr doing fine. AJ Brown just being a fucking freak. He cussed out Hurts, and now look at him, 130, 170, 120, 130, 130 with a couple touchdown games sprinkled in there. Just insane. 27 for him. You almost expect it now. Kells looking like a first-round option now, finally. He had a couple little questionable weeks there, I guess. 32 points, 179 yards, and a touchdown. I think if the Chargers were able to keep this a little bit of a game, it would have been even more. He could have easily broken 200 yards. A couple solid win for Bobby there. let's look at his highlights here. So we have Stephon Diggs with this crazy play.
Allen pulls the trigger. Sliding catch made inside the 10 by Diggs. Oh, how did he get out of it?
Nice. Not touched when he was down. And then we have Jerome Ford here, who I think he finished with like 74 rushing yards on 11 carries, and this was 69
Hunt
of
dealing
it.
with a thigh injury is going to play as Ford breaks one. Ford
And it's not
toting
gonna
the
be
rock to the house. And Cleveland throws down the gauntlet at this.
And on those plays there, Bobby was 14 points for Bobby with Allen and Diggs. That run for Andrew was worth 12.9 fantasy points. Solid win for Bobby. Outshined his projections. Moves on to 4 and 3, right there in third place in the overall standings. Moving on to myself and Cam. Patrick Mahomes has been disappointing so far this year. This is definitely a monster game. 424 yards, 4 touchdowns. The pit kept him from 40 overall points. Everyone else just kind of showed up on my team and had solid to above average games to combine for a nice almost 160 points. Looking over at Cam's side, Tyrod Taylor having a great game, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Checking down to Saquon can make anyone look like a decent quarterback, except for fucking Danny Jones. Sam Howell not having a great game at that head-to-head matchup. He is a QB 11 on the year still. Was essentially his rookie year. He's looking pretty solid overall, I would say. I wouldn't mind just continue starting him for Cam. Bijan Robinson with fucking bubble gut this week. I don't know what the fuck that was. I guess he had a migraine or something like that. Didn't play. Arthur Smith's a bitch for not putting him on the injury report for Cam. Just hurting my points against so much. Puka Nacua no longer on Cam's team. I almost put 20 fab down on him, and I really regret not doing that. Now he's Michael's toy to play with. Cooper Kupp. There's just not enough football to go around between the two of them, so I understand Cam wanting to get rid of one of them. Laporta, kind of a bummer game with Jared Goff throwing the ball like 53 fucking times. Keenan Allen coming back down to earth, and then just nothing out of your kicker. Yeah, nothing there. Did he get fucking... Yeah, he got kicked, but let go by the Rams for 1 and 3. Fucking A. That's hilarious. I didn't even realize that when I first looked at this. I guess that performance will get you released. Let's go look at our biggest plays from this. So... this is Mike Evans here.
Mayfield. Deep. He's got it. Mike Evans. That's a Buccaneer touchdown.
Here we go.
You gotta win early.
Mike Evans
There's
is
the
busting
matchup.
out. That boomer bust kind of weak. And then, yeah, we had this play from Cam. And that also, the little check down there. Solid game overall for Tyrod Taylor, though. Alright, so let's look at our standings here. I continue to impress myself with my 6-1 record. Very lucky so far this season. I was getting a lot of flack in most of these reviews or recaps, so saying my points against was not solid. I feel like it's because I haven't had those breakout games so far this year, like everyone else seems to be having. But look at that, I'm only fucking 4 points behind Connor. I'm ahead of Bobby overall in points. Nick's the only one that has the highest points for, and that's because he's had like 2 crazy like monster weeks of like almost 200 points. I feel like. Other than that, I feel like he's been average. The middle of our pack here from 6 to 2 or 2 to 6, very close. Really could be anyone. I feel like unless I have a catastrophic meltdown, I feel like 6 or 7 wins is about a lock for the playoffs. So I feel confident that way. I think Connor and Bobby are also obviously not as guaranteed as I am, but pretty close to locks for the playoffs. It's just that 4th spot that's going to be so close. Cam's looking so good so far. Tried to fix some holes at his quarterback this week. I could see any of those. I could see that 4th spot going to any one of those 3 guys there, though, honestly. All right, let's look on to next week. So starting off the top here, we'll go from top down now. Myself against Andrew. Mahomes plays Denver, which last time he only had 19 points, just because they kind of shit all over him. He's still been throwing picks this year, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, I can see it's going anyway. My RB2 situation is not great. Javonte against Kansas City. Madison's kind of a bum now. I have to see how what's going on with Hubbard and Miles Sanders. But besides that, I feel decent about my lineup. Looking over at Andrew's side here, I can see it going either way, honestly. For sure 20 points coming from McCaffrey at least. Maybe Eckler can kind of come back. He's been kind of dog shit since his injury. CeeDee Lamb has been a little underwhelming as a first rounder. So we'll see how that goes. Nico Collins, I think Houston's going to have a solid game. It's going to be kind of like a revenge game for CJ Stroud not being the number 1 overall pick. So I think he might have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. So I could see that translating to Nico. See if Kirk can continue to outshine Calvin Ridley. Yeah, should be a close one, but I think Andrew can. I think Andrew gets his 4th win. I can't imagine winning 7 in a row. That'd be wild. Moving on here, Connor and Nick Finley. I could see Nick getting an upset here. Hurts has a game against Washington, who for some reason they just have Philly's number, and it looks like it might be raining too. Lamar Jackson against Arizona, I could see him. I mean, unless he gets like a couple rushing touchdowns, which is very likely. I could see him having like a under average game or subpar game, just be getting a huge lead and not running a whole lot. Jonathan Taylor's kind of popping off, starting to come back a little bit. Kamara's questionable, and Walker's questionable. I don't know a whole lot about that. Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't know how David Montgomery is doing, but I feel like the Raiders give up a decent amount of rushing yards. So I could see. I think I got Nick taking the upset here. I think there's enough, and I look at that. Seattle's playing Cleveland. I think Nick's got an upset here. Moving on. Last 2 matchups. We have kind of a crapshoot here. That's our version of Denver versus Chicago earlier this year. I mean, Herbert has Chicago, so hopefully that could be a good game there for him. Kind of a bounce back. Breece Hall against the Giants. DeAndre Swift against Washington. How did he do last time? 15 points and a tutty. Starting Drake London, man, against Tennessee, it was a solid defense. After that first game, I just couldn't have him on my team anymore. Puka on his side now. I think Michael's lucky enough being and with his new acquisition here at Nakua. I see Michael edging out a low-scoring win here. Final matchup, one that has solid playoff implications. We have two of those 2 through 6 teams playing each other. I guess Connor and Cam's game does as well. But let's see here. Running down the line, Josh Allen, Tampa Bay, Prescott, Rams, Josh Jacobs against Detroit, who has been solid against the run this year, besides that 169-yard run last week. I don't know. I guess A.J. Brown had a pretty monster game against Washington. That was his 175 and 2 touchdowns. Kels against Denver last time almost had 20 points, still without a touchdown. See if Taylor Swift is in attendance or not. Did Cam get a kicker yet? I guess not. I think CJ. I could see Cam with an upset here. Just with, Dak Prescott's a fucking bum, and CJ Stroud with a, of course, Joe Burrow is playing San Francisco. CJ Stroud with a kind of revenge game against Carolina. Tennis, I don't think now looking at these matchups, I think Bobby's got this one. I think Bobby goes to 5-3, and Cam drops to 4-4 to make that 5th spot even more so spicy. All right. Oh yeah, this trade, I think it benefits both. You could have even left out the 7th round pick. I think that's a pretty reasonable swap. I think it helps both teams out. I think it pays off for that. Michael's been hoarding so many quarterbacks. This is kind of a product of that, I guess. He gets Puka Nacua, who could easily be like a top 5 dynasty receiver, but so could CJ Stroud. So only time will tell with this trade, to be honest.